which Jason Smelski does not have. So I would say that Edgar Flores has a pretty substantial advantage just based on the matchup.
Agreed. I think Edgar Flores has an advantage, but I'm interested to see how it plays out. The players, it's not really a matchup we would see very often, so see what happens. I like Edgar's brew for this tournament, though. Time might be right for some kind of fairies deck. Like I said, it was big in Seattle about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and Zoo was getting more popular. This was right about when Star City Open Series was starting, and metagame started getting more defined. Deck sort of was up at the top, and fairies got a little worse. But I can definitely see it coming out now. I've played a lot with this deck. One card that is notably absent from Edgar's list, even though he's got 4 Confidants and 4 Bitter Blossoms, he has no Chrome Moxen. And that's a card that a lot of people would play because you can go turn 1 Bitter Blossom, turn 1 Mox. Even just holding up mana for Spellstutter Sprite or turn 2 Vanillion Click can be very good. And I'm kind of curious as to why he doesn't have them, at least a couple. They seem so good here. Certainly a card that I would probably put in my deck, but Edgar maybe strides the deck out, didn't end up wanting the Moxes. See what happens. Looks like he's satisfied with his opening 7. I think the players are good. And now they're ready to go off to the races. Or maybe Edgar's still in the tank. Alright, yeah, we're playing. Alright, looks like Polluted Delta turn 1 from Edgar Flores. And Polluted Delta meets Polluted Delta. One is signed, though. Jason's got the signed one. Ships back to Edgar. See if Edgar goes for one of his mini potent 2-drops here. He also, I think I saw a Spell Pierce, so it's possible he might want to wait a turn and then play something with Spell Pierce backup. Taps a Swamp. Cabal Therapy, okay. So, what do you Cabal? All you know is Polluted Delta. What do you Cabal Therapy? That is a hard name. Brainstorm, maybe? Dark Confidant? Probably not. Brainstorm and Mental Misstep are all like the safe ones, but your therapy is likely to get misstepped. So, I think you probably named Brainstorm. That's actually really interesting. If all you've seen is Polluted Delta, what do you think you therapy? Let us know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Twitter. You can name Force too. Like that's kind of probably a legit name. And Jason does end up misstepping it. What do you think, Brian? If all your opponent has is Polluted Delta and you play good Cabal Therapy, what would you name with it?
That is an interesting question. Force of Will is a perfectly reasonable name. I mean, it really depends because I mean they have to let it resolve first because there's a lot of things that they would have that they potentially like Brainstorm or Mental Misstep are cards that are totally reasonable names, but they would likely respond with.
Edgar chooses the misstep. Jason's the misstep here.
And he is trying to fight through that Cabal Therapy.
I mean, the cards I can think of are like Misstep, but they'll probably misstep your Cabal Therapy. Brainstorm, Force of Will.
Mm-hmm. Dark Confidant is a reasonable one.
Confidant's not like if you hit with Confidant's very good, but there's a chance you miss.
And there's Force of Will. So it's interestingly that's one of the cards that would very likely be named with this Cabal Therapy that he's getting in addition to the card that is being pitched. What did he pitch?
Days.
Days.
So
that gives him a lot more. That gives him a lot more information. Actually,
it does give him some more information. Not a ton more, but a little more information.
And now I'm curious whether he is Force of Willing the misstep or the therapy. Because he's Force of Willing the misstep, then Edgar can still misstep. If he Force of Wills the therapy, he can't actually misstep again.
Very true.
The interaction of misstep with other cards like that makes it so that the actual target of your counter spells is much more important than it used to be.
And the counter battle ends, therapy doesn't resolve, but Edgar goes for a Dark Confidant on the turn after. And so Jason needs to deal with that.
He is down to very few cards in hand after that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was for turn 2, that exhausted a lot of both players' resources, especially with those forces. Between Force and Misstep, and Jason taps 2 for Smother on Dark Confidant. Daze from Edgar Flores. Going to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
Are those just written on polluted?
I think they're signed.
Underground rivers. They kind of look like they're
I think
scribbles in the artwork.
I think I've seen those before, and he draws the Loch Ness Monster in them.
That's kind of cool. So,
flips to Riptide Laboratory. First card for the turn.
So Edgar gets in with Dark Confidant, who is already helping him run away with this game.
Yep,
So-
just already giving him a free card.
If you look at Jason's hand, is that a brainstorm in his hand? It looks like he has 2 tropical islands, and then
There's 1 tropical island.
look like a blue card. Is that a Jace? Jace.
Yeah, Jace.
And
And
Spell
Edgar
Pierce.
cannot spell pierce that quickly enough. Missteps the spell pierce.
Edgar has spell pierced many a Jace in his day,
and
I'm sure.
Edgar
And
just
it
has
looks-
3 lands.
It looks like this Jace is resolving, and Jace can trump even Bob.
Do you think you bounce the Bob here?
I think that's a totally reasonable call because Bob can attack Jace, and it's giving him a stream of cards. That said, I mean, depending on what Jason actually has in his own hand, I think you really want to bounce the Bob to prevent Edgar from if he does play, say, his own Jace this turn, you don't end up being behind on the board.
Edgar cracks his land, just thinning his deck a little bit. I'm surprised he does that. A lot of times players will wait for it to draw Brainstorm or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure he just has a bunch of lands in Dark Confidant.
And a Riptide Laboratory. So Edgar draws. I can't really tell what that was.
Some blue card.
I think he most likely wants to just replay Bob here.
Yeah. Sounds right to me. Probably leave the island untapped.
So Jason can brainstorm on his turn if he
And then try and find an answer
and
to
try to find an answer to Bob. Though here if he doesn't find an answer to Bob just kills Jace. Wastelands the underground sea rather. So many underground things. The underground briny pools or whatever.
Yeah, underground briny pools of doom and despair and death and such.
So that's what's in the briny pools. Doom and despair and death and such.
That's why when creatures die, they go there.
Edgar also has the correct island, by the way, and a very shiny one.
Yeah, of course it's shiny. Although, is that swamp just like random and not shiny?
Yeah,
just like an
it is both not
M12
shiny
swamp.
and not full art. And like, who are you, Edgar? What happened?
I think it's probably added a swamp at the last minute. Guess we got to find one. Jason Fate Seals and puts the card on the bottom. And there's Tarmogoyf from Jason Smelski.
Okay. That leaves him in a sort of parity position. So
Flips Vendilion Click.
Vendilion Click. That can help break the parity.
Especially with that
Click
Riptide Lab.
Right. Vendilion Click here is definitely very powerful. It can attack the Jace over the Tarmogoyf, and it can give him a lot of information about his opponent's hand, or help him get rid of useless cards in his own hand to try and find some better action.
Right. Edgar plays the Polluted Delta. And just ships the turn. Likely you're going to see Vendilion Click at some point. Then you do it draw step or end step.
I think you want to end step it here. You don't want to give Jason the option of bouncing it with Jace. Though it looks like Jason did just draw Force of Will, which can potentially make that click much less likely to turn this game around.
The answers that click pretty well.
Though it does cost Jason 2 cards, which with Jason play he can afford.
Puts the cards back. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He wants to look at Edgar's graveyard. Sees that there's a therapy there. Still is that therapy, although I don't think Confidant is going to.
I think he's looking to figure out how big the Goyf is.
Taps 3. There's mid-combat Vanillion Click.
It's like a Ghastly Demise hitting it. That's a Brainstorm. Okay. Ghastly Demise, I guess, is in the sideboard.
So Nick Roush points out something interesting on Twitter. He says that he wouldn't name Brainstorm with the Turn 1 Cabal therapy because they would likely brainstorm in response. However, just like this weird mind game where like if they don't brainstorm in response, you're less likely to name Brainstorm.
Right.
So I mean, if you're just blowing your Brainstorm on turn 1 for little value, I think keeping it is often correct.
So Edgar goes for Mental Misstep on the Brainstorm, which it's not clear if that leaves Jason Smelski with a blue card that he can use to pitch a Force of Will. It looks like his hand.
Oh, I thought he was pitching it. Nope, Tropical Island. So
I think you just let him keep
you
that.
can have those. They're all yours, buddy. And then he takes damage from Tarmogoyf.
And now Jason's gonna die because Jason Smelski is down to just a Force of Will and another Bob.
Down to 11.
Down to 11, but with quite the beatdown going. So we can.
And he also has that laboratory.
That lab, yeah. That lab can make any of his creatures into blinking spirits effectively against that Tarmogoyf.
And especially
lab is 2 to use, right?
Lab is 2 to use, but in taps also.
Right.
So 3 total.
So if he can play another Bob here.
Block and pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also,
he doesn't necessarily die to his Bobs if he's too aggressive with his life loss.
And also, in a turn or two, he can start clicking Jason every single turn if he wants. So granted, he has to play around for that Force that he knows is there. Mm-hmm. But Jason probably just has to pass here.
So, it looks like he drew Smother. And Smother would be he could actually potentially attempt to smother that Dark Confidant.
Nope, just gets in.
He attacks. So, because Edgar, that's a very, 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 very large Tarmogoyf because a Planeswalker just died. So I believe that's is that a 5/6 or a 6?
We still have artifacts and enchantments, right?
So there's no artifacts, there's no enchantments, there's no tribal. But as soon as a Bitter Blossom hits the graveyard,
and we will have tribal. Yeah, couple tribal cards.
When I in Old Extended, I was playing a Life from the Loam, sort of aggro loam deck that had Bitter Blossom in it. And one of my favorite things was when I would have Goyf in play
and dredge.
Yeah, dredge up a Bitter Blossom. There was actually one point where I Ravens Crimed myself, discarded Bitter Blossom for the giant growth of my Tarmogoyf.
That's pretty sweet. Edgar goes for a Brainstorm. Yeah, those mysterious trap cards, or like in the Doran deck that made top 8 of Amsterdam, did really, really well there. They had Nameless Inversion.
They did.
Well, I mean, you did. But, I mean,
just that Doran deck. They top 8 Amsterdam. They had Nameless Inversion.
I mean, all the people in the top 8.
Yeah.
You know, there were 2 Dorans in the top 8. Right?
It was me and Brad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and but yeah, Nameless Inversion was often made Tarmogoyfs monstrous. A Spellstutter Sprite gets dazed.
And just blocks with the Confidant.
So
picks up Pluto Delta, draws a Stifle.
So Edgar, with only 8 life, that Tarmogoyf is actually kind of problematic. He's gonna have to stop that every turn, just about. And looking at Edgar's list, he doesn't have any removal.
Yeah.
He has Jitte and Bitter Blossom are really his ways to stop Tarmogoyf. So he needs to really use that lab to control it for the rest of the game.
And serves him for 5. All right. So yeah, now he's probably just gonna go Confidant and hold back Riptide Laboratory.
It says go.
Interesting. He's got Stifle in his hand. What's his play? I guess he can pick up Click and play it again. If that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he did that.
He does know that his opponent has Forcible in his hand. So.
Yeah. And I mean that Tarmogoyf is you take 1 hit and you can't really leave Bob in play anymore.
Yeah. I'm
a little perplexed.
A little curious what the plan is here.
Alright, draws his card. It looks like Force And a black card. I can't tell what the black card is. Or, no, green card, Tarmogoyf. Edgar... cannot spell stutter fast enough. Alright, well, he's got a spell stutter. That was his plan.
Alright, yeah.
The pre-combat Tarmogoyf draws that spell stutter.
That's a little...
Pre-combat Tarmogoyf.
A little suspect.
Oh, but he doesn't pick it up. Interesting.
Does he not have...
He's got 2 mana in Riptide Lab.
What is he doing?
Wait, what?
He thinks it's from the...
Oh,
dear.
no. He thought it was the zombie one.
That explains a lot of what's been going on here.
That explains so much. Edgar just... So Riptide Laboratory is part of a cycle, and the black one put zombies on top of your deck.
Yeah.
Wow. The blue one returns wizards to your hand.
So Edgar seemed to think that it put a wizard from his graveyard on top of his deck. So he blocked with his Spellstutter Sprite, did not return it, and then tried to put it on top of his deck. So
that's not how that works. That does explain a lot, though.
Yeah.
It's good Edgar finds that out now.
Right.
And he's still in a fine position. He's got a Mutavault.
He gets to hit for 5 here. That Mutavault is also a wizard.
Yep.
And he can block bounce with that.
It is.
Mutavaults are all types.
Mutavaults are all types. Soon to be werewolves.
Did Edgar gain life somehow? I thought he was at 8. Apparently the life totals were previously incorrect that we had here, and Edgar is in fact 10 life.
Well, that does change things
That
slightly.
also changes the Goyf math a bit.
So
Jason Smelski down to 3. That means that
Click is lethal.
Click is lethal.
Except for there's a 5/5 Tombstalker in the way.
Tombstalker makes Click less lethal.
And it might downsize the Goyf a little, though, depending on what cards he removes. Someone on Twitter, let's see, Timothy Jansen asks if he's running Volrath Stronghold and got the two confused, but he's not running Volrath Stronghold, so...
It's not... Zombie Grotto and Volrath Stronghold are the same card, except for Zombie Grotto is only zombies.
Only zombies, yeah. Unholy Grotto or
Unholy Grotto, yeah. I had that card in a constructed deck for
the zombie deck in Standard, man.
Yeah.
When you kept returning Gempom Polluter, it was impossible to lose.
That was exactly what I would often do. That was the zombie the Rotlung Reanimator deck.
Yep. Yeah, man, we're going way back. This is pre-modern.
Yeah. These are cards that are not legal in Modern.
Yeah. We're so old.
I have played Magic for a long time. It was actually last night. I was out with Edgar Flores, Nick Spagnolo, and Alex Bertoncini, all of whom have consecutive birthdays right after my own. My birthday was actually Wednesday. I believe Nick's was Thursday, Edgar's was Friday, and Alex's was Saturday. And we were talking, and sort of came up that given that we were talking about birthdays, how old each of us were, and it turns out that I won a Grand Prix when Alex Bertoncini was 7.
Yep. So these are some young guns here.
I'm pretty old.
We've been playing this game for a long time.
So,
in the meantime, looks like that Tombstalker. Edgar deploys a Bitter Blossom, trying to use the tokens to get around and deal the last 3 points of damage before he gets killed by, say, Dark Confidant or something. All right, untaps, draws, gets a 1/1 token, flips over another Vendilion Click. Draws.
So, the second Vendilion Click, not quite as good as the first.
See if he can suicide the first one next turn, potentially. Or he's got a Cabal Therapy in his hand, too, he could use with that click favorably.
Vendilion Click is a really weird card in the fact that it's a legend.
Yeah, I always thought that was very strange.
It seems so poorly named for a legend. Because you have Mistbind Click, which is not a legend. Then you have Vendilion Click, which is a legend. It's like, what?
It also just feels like a really strange legend.
So Cabal Therapy, and Jason knows that Edgar knows his card is forcible, I believe.
Yeah, it should still be forced.
So, I mean, it seems like he might as well... Yeah. Just let it resolve. So Jason at 3 life. Edgar at 6 now.
And
it looks like Edgar just has to say go.
Yeah, passes back. At what point do you return your Dark Confidant with Riptide Laboratory to make sure you don't die to Bitter Blossom? Or to Confidant?
I mean, I don't know how much info. It looks like he's. Yeah, he goes to kill. I think Riptide Lab, and Stifle takes care of that. Jason plays a second Wasteland, and goes for it again. He's killing Mutavault rather than Riptide Lab. So now that Goyf is potentially a lethal attacker. Is it 6 power? There's instant, creature, sorcery, land, planeswalker. There's only 5.
Okay. Let's see. So how long is it going to take for Edgar to fight past that? So he gets a second token here. We know he's got a second click.
Another Bob. So
oh man.
Now that means that any
Draws,
any hit from Thoughtseize not really what he wants right now.
No.
Any hit from either creature that Jason controls is lethal. And pretty difficult for Edgar to push past them.
I think he has to wait. All right, so what he can do... No, that puts him 1 too short. He has to wait a turn. Yeah, so he could attack with Click and the token. He would block Click, take 1 from the token, Click would die, or then Edgar could play another Click, untap, do the same thing. That only brings Jason down to 1. So he has to wait a turn until he has 3 tokens. And then go for it and try something like that.
Well, if he attacks with a Click and a token, I mean, he doesn't lose anything by doing that, right? Like, he's actually just getting a damage. His Click will die, but he doesn't want that Click in play anyway because he already has it in his hand.
Right, I think he can set that up next turn, though, and make it lethal instead of... Lethal, I guess it's lethal in 3 turns either way.
My point is that
it's the same amount of turns, I guess.
And, I mean, Edgar's very low life, so...
Yeah, both players sitting at only 3. He doesn't have a lot of time. I would have returned that Dark Confidant with that Riptide Lab man stuff, but maybe Suicide the Confidant did too.
Well, I mean, that doesn't... Yeah, I mean, that... You can... Yeah, okay, it looks like he's sending these 2.
Alright, Edgar attacks with Confidant, Click, and one of the 2 tokens.
So... Seems like Jason, he has to block Vendilion Click because it's lethal.
Jason Barnett points out on Twitter that Edgar could have animated his Mutavault and saved it with his Riptide Lab last turn, which would have been big.
That's also true.
Alright, so probably Tarmogoyf on Dark Confidant. And then Tombstalker on Vendilion Click. Take 1. What I imagine is going to happen here. I don't know what's in Jason's hand, though. Might be some tricks we don't know about.
Well, I believe Jason has no cards. Because he was just Cabal Therapy for his Force of Will.
Okay, yeah.
Then drew a Wasteland.
That's what I thought. His hand was off screen, but okay, yeah. No, he doesn't have anything.
His hand is, in fact, on screen because there's nothing there.
Yeah, oh, it's true.
So, Jason takes...
It's like physical hand.
Yeah. Jason takes 1 damage, goes down to 2 life. Edgar probably not going to Thoughtseize here.
would recommend against it. I would also recommend playing against second Bitter Blossom.
I think what Edgar wants to do is actually Click himself, get rid of the Thoughtseize.
Let's Jason draw.
Yeah, maybe Brainstorm. That complicates matters.
All right. Well, Brainstorm probably just resolves.
Well, if you have the Click, which we know he does, he may want to Click himself in response and try
to find a misstep.
Yeah, you can hit Mental Misstep.
And he draws Force, Daze, I think Scalding Tarn.
So the only card that's relevant right now is Daze. So I think you just put Daze on top because potentially, what does Edgar's mana situation look like?
He's got 3, 4, 5. He has 7 lands, but one of them is a Scalding Tarn that would. I don't think if he can afford to crack.
Right.
So 6 lands maybe.
So Jason can't afford to attack with Tombstalker because he dies in the attack back to the pair of fairies. He actually also dies to the Vendilion Click if he doesn't force something to block. So I think Jason has to attack with Tarmogoyf here. to make sure Edgar can't present lethal next turn.
It's probably wondering if Edgar has a removal spell. But I don't think he's got a lot of choice, right? That's really the only play he can make.
If he, there's a lot of times people try and play around things that they can't afford to play around. Right.
And if
he has it, he has it.
Lose anyway.
So I think Jason has to attack with Tarmogoyf here, force the block with a Fairy Token or Vendilion Click. Exactly, Tombstalker. Attack it with both of them. Wow. Okay. This is actually a pretty similar situation. So it looks like he's gonna daze that, which means that the Riptide Lab can't return it.
Oh, 2 of Edgar's lands are fetch lands.
Oh, are they?
I thought only 1 was.
Oh dear. So yeah, he dazes it. So he's just gonna have to pay with the Riptide Lab, I think. Oh no, there's 3, but there's another land out there anyway. So yeah, that will prevent him from being able to effectively return it. So Edgar has to block.
Yeah. And then I think this game favors Jason.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that Edgar was in such dire straits with his mana / life.
I guess
so.
There are a lot of cards Edgar could draw. Edgar gets 1 more turn.
Anything that can stop a creature.
Right. He's gonna attack Jason down to 1. And if he draws a creature, he's also good, right?
Did he not click anyone?
He couldn't because he has 2 fetch lands.
No, he can use the target ability of the click.
Oh,
he didn't resolve.
No,
the
he
click
did not
at all. He should have clicked himself, got rid of Thoughtseize.
So, is it just presumed that he targeted himself and chose to take nothing? Then
I don't know.
We should
that's
go to the judge on that one.
A little odd. I mean, we've gone beyond the turn.
Right. Obviously, nothing can happen now, but appropriate. If it was a mistrigger, warning could be handed out.
Yeah. So,
Edgar plays Brainstorm, puts 2 cards back, plays a Wasteland, serves for 1.
Jason down to 1 life. Edgar
needs a creature or a removal spell.
He really needs that Spell Center Sprite he tried to return from his graveyard.
Yeah, awkward. Really awkward. Yeah, that Riptide Lab has done nothing this game except for try and return a dead Spell Center Sprite.
So does he have a...
He does have Dark Confidant he can play.
All right, well, Dark Confidant's enough if Jason has nothing, and we know that Jason has... We know that Jason has a blank on top of his deck because he brainstormed.
So he didn't target with the click. I believe you have to choose a target, but I guess that he just targeted him and then chose nothing. That's what the short get would be.
Yeah, I mean, or target the opponent who has no cards in hand.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So attack you.
I will block.
I will choose to block. Stay alive.
I will return Dark Confidant to my hand. Now that I know what this does.
Yes. Figured out in time. And now that lone fairy token.
1 life to 1 life.
That lone fairy token will crank over for that last point of damage.
There it comes. And that's the game.
Wow.
That was a squeaker.
That was a squeaker.
So, Edgar Flores takes the first game, learns what his Riptide Laboratory does.
All right. Good start.
All right, well, we've got a good start to the day. So, taking a look at these two, that was a long game.
That took at least 20 minutes, if not more.
So, how do you think these 2 decks sideboard against one another?
Let's see. Out of Jason Smelski's deck, not getting Lawan, not getting Perish, Ghastly Demise, maybe if you want to fight Dark Confidant.
Is it non-black?
It is non-black?
Yeah,
okay,
I think so. All
right. There's 8 minutes left.
Wow.
First game...
18 minutes.
Oh, 18 minutes left. All right. This first game took 32 minutes. I can't do math. I hope that's right. Yeah, sounds right to me. So Ghastly Demise, probably not coming in. Leyline, no. Metamorph, probably not. Loam, probably not. Go for the Throat is a card that could come in here. I can see Go for the Throat coming in.
Yeah, Go for the Throat's a fine card. Life from the Loam, also potential card. The rest of the sideboard doesn't really do that much in this matchup. Edgar has access to Spell Pierce
and Spell Snare.
Spell Snare, both of which are pretty good. Damnation in the sideboard, that Diabolic Edict, Smother, and Doomblade.
I think he probably puts a bunch of removal spells.
He definitely wants the Edicts, definitely wants the Smother. Doomblade kills Tarmogoyf, probably wants that just for Tarmogoyf.
May or may not want that.
Maybe Dark Blast. Dark Blast does kill Dark Confidants, any number of Dark Confidants.
Pierce and Snare, I think he wants to bring in Snare for sure. And maybe Pierce.
most likely.
I mean, Snare hits Confidant, him, Tarmogoyf. Like, those are some big spells.
He doesn't really have all that many cards that he really wants to take out, though. I mean, if you look at his deck, Jitte maybe, though Jitte is also a reasonable way to fight the Dark Confidant war.
Stifle seems like a cuttable card.
Yeah, I mean, his opponent is playing Wasteland, which is a card that you often want to stifle. You can stifle Deeds.
Fetch lands.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're playing Stifle, it's a card that I guess on the draw it's much worse too. So I could certainly see taking Stifles out. I can see boarding some number of Dazes out as the games go relatively long.
Yeah, I can definitely see boarding up some Dazes. Yeah, I don't know. Stifle's a card I've just never been a fan of in these kind of decks. It's does all these niche, tiny things that like don't ever seem to matter as much as you want them to. You can live the dream and hit like a Wasteland or something, but
yeah, I mean, I think that Stifle's a card that it looks so good when it's good, but it's so often just sitting in your hand doing nothing.
Or the thing is, you cast it most of the time, but what you do is so marginal. You like kill their fetch land on like turn 6 or something.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it has like very high impact in a very small portion of the game. Stifling a turn 1 fetch land, stifling a Wasteland, these all can all be very good. But unless your deck has its actual proactive, powerful ways to use Stifle, things like Phyrexian Dreadnought, I'm generally much less of a fan of the card.
I agree.
It's also a much worse card now that Mental Misstep exists, and it's not just a strip mine.
Right? Yeah, they just misstep you.